can't fall asleep? Is it because I'm by your side? Or because you're not tired enough tonight? Okay, I'll stop teasing you. What shall I do to make you fall asleep? Tell a story? How about the story where the big gray wolf eats the little Red Riding Hood? Well, let me think of a good story to tell. The Little Mermaid. Okay? Then our story begins. Far out in the ocean, where the water is as blue as the prettiest centauri flowers, and as clear as the brightest glass. To go from the bottom of the sea to the surface above would be as high as many church steeples that are piled one upon another. The beings under the sea just dwell there. They live in the finest, purest, and freest blue ocean. We human beings living in our world don't know them, nor do we know about the beauty, magnificence, and tranquility of their world, the eternal deep sea. But, unlike us, after death, the beings under the sea will turn into water droplets and stay forever with their loved ones and with their beloved sea. The Sea King had 6 daughters. They had no legs. They were mermaids, living deep in the sea. Only when they reached the age of 15 years old were they qualified to rise up out of the water to view the world above the sea. When the youngest mermaid reached 15 years old, she rose lightly to the surface of the water and saw a beautiful world. The sun had just set, and nearby on the sea, there was a large sailing ship. She swam close to the side of the ship and saw people inside holding a dance party. At the center of the dance party was a handsome prince. That day was his 16th birthday. The little mermaid was deeply enchanted by the prince. It was very late at night, and the crew gradually fell asleep. Just then, a fierce wind blew across the water, and the ship was torn apart by the storm. The little mermaid saw the whole scene from the ship. She took the dying prince into her arms and swam to the coast. She kissed the prince's cheek and hoped he would wake up. But at that moment, someone approached, so the little mermaid had to leave the prince and hide behind a rock. A young girl spotted the prince, and that is when the prince woke up. He smiled at the girl gratefully and believed that it was she who had saved him. Upon seeing this, the sad little mermaid returned to the palace under the sea. Are you listening? Then I'll continue. Feeling chilly? Move closer to me. The little mermaid wanted to see the prince so much that she couldn't help but to tell her sisters about it. They knew where the prince's palace was located. So, they dragged the little mermaid and swam together to the bay where the prince lived. The little mermaid finally saw the prince at his beautiful palace, and she felt happy again. From then on, she often came to the palace to see the prince. She became more and more fascinated with human beings, and she eagerly hoped that she would one day go to the shore to live among them. So she asked her grandmother, "What's the difference between human beings and mermaids? How can a mermaid become a human being?" Her grandmother told her, "The lifespan of a human is short, but human beings have souls. After death, their souls will go to heaven and live there forever. We mermaids can live 300 years, but after death, we become the sea foam on the surface of the water and can no longer see the sun in the sky. If a mermaid wants to obtain a soul, she must find a man who loves her more than anything and marry him. Only then could he share half of his soul and half of his happiness with her." But grandmother believed that such a thing would never happen, because a man could not fall in love with a mermaid. What's wrong? Why the frown? Feeling a little sad? You're asking me, can a human fall in love with a mermaid? Yes, they certainly can. If you feel sad, hold me tight. Don't let go of me. The little mermaid suddenly thought of the witch, who might help her. The witch did agree to help her, but in return, she must give her voice to the witch. The little mermaid accepted. The witch gave her a pot of soup. If consumed, it would give her legs and make her the most graceful dancer in the world. However, she could never return to the sea, and with every step, it would feel as though she were treading upon sharp knives, blood flowing from her feet. And if her beloved were to marry another, on the morning following their wedding, she would become sea foam on the crests of the waves. The little mermaid accepted. After she drank the soup, she became mute, and her tail disappeared. In its place, she had 2 legs. But when she stood on her feet, she felt heartbreaking pains and fainted. When she woke up, she found herself lying in a large palace, and her beloved prince sat before her. And so she began to live there, and became the most beautiful girl in the whole palace. Although she could not speak nor sing, she could dance with all the grace in the world. In that way, the prince was deeply enchanted by the little mermaid. She lived a happy life with the prince. But every night, she would sit by the shore, look deep into the sea, and miss her family. Would you like me to go on? The rest is going to be sad. Yes, I'm here. I will always be by your side. However, before long, the prince was to be wed. His would-be wife was the princess of a neighboring kingdom. The little mermaid went with the prince to see this princess. When the princess walked out from the main hall, the prince was stunned. This was the girl who he believed had saved him. Seeing them together, the little mermaid's heart was full of sorrow. On the day of their wedding, she danced beautifully for the bride and groom. All the people applauded cheerfully. Never did she dance so happily. Although that was to be her last dance. She had forsaken her kindred, sacrificed her beautiful voice, and suffered pain daily for him. Yet he knew nothing of it. Late that night, when everyone was asleep, the little mermaid waited on deck for the sunrise. Just then, her sisters appeared on the water. Their long, beautiful hair was gone, as they had given it to the witch in exchange for a knife. Before sunrise, she must plunge the knife into the heart of the prince and let his blood fall upon her legs. Only then could she turn into a mermaid once again and return to the sea. The rosy dawn got brighter and brighter. The little mermaid drew back the curtain of the tent, bent down, and kissed the fair face of the prince. She glanced at the sharp knife and again at the sleeping prince. Suddenly, she flung the knife into the sea and the knife sank beneath the waves. She cast one more lingering glance at the prince, and then threw herself into the sea. The sun rose above the water. She saw the bright sun, and all around her floated numerous, transparent, beautiful beings. Through them, she could see the white sails of the ship and the colored clouds in the sky. Their speech was melodious, but too ethereal to be heard. She perceived that her body was gradually transforming into sea foam. Are you asleep? Feeling sad? It's just a story. You must believe that I will never leave you. Well, close your eyes and have a good sleep.